Welcome to Killscreen with Tim and Ben. This is episode 3. I'm Ben.
And I'm Tim.
And we are here to talk about the one thing that we have been waiting to talk about for a long time. But first, how was your New Year's celebration, Tim?
Oh, fantastic, man. We brought in the new year loud and proud, 2016, baby. I actually already mistakenly said it was 2015, so yeah, bring on the new year.
Well, that's something for everybody. I dated a paper at work the other day, 2015, and someone's like, this happened last year? And I'm like, oh, wait, nope. So, mistakes happen. It's the old running joke.
How about you, man? How was your new year?
I had to work.
Oh, bummer.
No, I got to work remotely though from home, and so I got to give the wife a midnight kiss, and then came in and sat down and worked, and it was very, very, very slow, but wasn't too bad. Got to sit alone in the office and drink whiskey and do some work.
Right on, man. Right on.
So, let's get into it. If you are still listening as of this point and have not seen Star Wars Episode 7, this is the only time I'm going to tell you to do this, but shut this episode off right now. We're going to spoil the hell out of this film.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, exactly. It's what we've been waiting to talk about. So this is our gloves off, nerd off, tear apart the film. Let's discuss it. Let's hash out what we liked, what we didn't like. So we are going no holds barred on this. Spoilers everywhere. So please, if you have not seen the film, shut this off. Save yourself. We don't want to be those guys. So, we'll go ahead and just get started. Maker, what were your overall thoughts?
Overall, I really enjoyed it. I'll be honest, at first, I thought it had a little bit of a slow start. But I guess that's a little bit necessary for new characters, new introductions, and all the like. But overall, I thought it was really good. Once the characters were established, I found I really liked them. Some more than others. But yeah, I thought the characters were really good. The storyline for this episode was really good. For the most part, I feel like, it'll be interesting how they continue it. But yeah, I mean, overall, it was better than I expected, to be honest.
What did you think about the storyline in terms of mirroring from episode 4?
I mean, he did what he took a safe route, and I don't blame him at all. I mean, I watched a little bit before I seen the movie, how he went about going to create it and to direct this all, and it seems like he took the right steps. He followed almost the damn same pattern. Like, it was almost a copy and paste, but it was different enough that it wasn't a complete ripoff. But yeah, I know that we have 2 different directors for the next 2 films. So we'll see how they take it, but overall, I was pretty pleased with this one.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna touch a little bit on this this mirroring of the original trilogy, because a gentleman by the name of Mike Climo put up it was back in 2014. He put it up after the original prequels had gone through, and they'd been out in the wild for a long time. But he put up the Star Wars ring theory, which was the hidden artistry of the Star Wars prequels, and it talked a lot about the mirroring and the storyline kind of arc copying that happened. Not in terms of exact characters, but you got a lot of the same themes from the first 3.
Right.
And this applies, I feel like, directly to this trilogy. We're going to see a lot of the same stuff because it was kind of Lucas's original vision, was that these three sets of movies would all feel the same in some way. There'd be a lot of similarities between them, but they'd be new takes and new adventures. So, I mean, we see a lot of those like similar feelings in this film, especially in terms of the, let's say episode 4, the Vader killing Obi-Wan. We see that mirrored this time very, blatantly in the Kylo Ren Han Solo encounter there.
Yeah, in terms of the, I can definitely see where you're coming from as far as the mirroring. It's very apparent, especially in that regard, regarding Kylo Ren and his famous scene here in this episode.
Yeah, I mean, we all know it's spoiler free zone, so the scene where Kylo does kill Han, but you've been tiptoeing around it. For
I know.
So you're just like, oh, it's the thing that happens. So how about this one? What didn't you like about it?
I would say the biggest thing is Rey, or I'm sorry, what's her name? It's Kylo Ren and then Rey, right? Rey,
yep.
Just Rey, R-E-Y. Her Force ability was just far too adept. Unless this ties around to something in future episodes, I just don't like how she was able to trump a trained Dark Force user, Dark Jedi, Kylo Ren, and she was just able to trump him entirely, and she kicks his ass at the end, man. It was apparent.
All right, hold on.
Okay.
She didn't beat his ass at the end. All right, I'm gonna take Kylo Ren's side on this thing.
Okay.
Let's talk about the previous hour of the film, where every time that bowcaster went off from Chewie, Han was like, holy shit, that thing's amazing, let me shoot it. So he shoots it and he takes out 4 stormtroopers with a single bolt.
Yeah.
And you're just talking about, I mean, it's all leading up to how fucking amazing this bowcaster is. And Han dies, Chewie flips his shit and shoots Kylo Ren in the gut. Dude takes a fucking gut shot from a bowcaster and stands.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. This is a weapon that destroyed people, and he takes it like a fucking man and stands up. So he's got to be exerting just amplitudes of force power just to keep his organs from like diving out of his skin.
Right.
Keep his blood flowing. So I mean, obviously he dispatches someone who's untrained in the ways of something like the Force, because obviously we all know Force enhances reactions, movement, prediction. It guides your movements, like like Luke with the blast trainer and the blast shield down in his helmet.
Right.
It helps you predict. So, I mean, my thoughts on this is, first of all, Kylo Ren was in a fucking heap of hurt, and the dude deserves to be cut a break. He just killed his dad, so that's pretty rough on him. He's still emotionally fighting the Force, being pulled to the dark side and he still kind of feels the light. And then along comes this chick who is besting him in the ways of the Force, while conceivably while he's got his ass beat. But it leads me to think, this is a completely untrained wild card. And this girl is just touching the Force. And who is she related to? Because my God, that fucking power is got to be coming from a lineage. Like, I like to think that it's somebody in the films. I don't really think they're going to pull someone from left field and be like, oh, she's related to this dude from a planet halfway across the system. But it makes you really think, is she this epicenter of force power that's been trickling through this lineage of people, between Leia and Luke and Anakin and all that. And it really makes me wonder what's going to be happening in the future films. How powerful is she really going to get? Because it sets up now for this epic fight between Kylo Ren, who's an amazing Force user, and Rey, who's just barely scraping the surface of what she can do, and she's able to beat him on a Force contest.
Yeah. Just unbelievable in my eyes, really.
I think it really sets up well for what can these guys do? This is insanity. It makes me look back and want things like the Force Unleashed video game series. Really,
they were a lot of
wish
fun.
That was still canon, because that was a Vader trained Jedi who was able to pull an Imperial Star Destroyer out of the sky. That kind of force power, and then you see Kylo Ren, and you're like, wait, somebody else was able to pull a destroyer out of the sky. What the fuck can Kylo Ren do? And then worse than that, what can Rey do, and what is she holding back on her power for? Can this chick like crush planets or something?
And kind of brushing off of that, I just hope it's not just something that they threw in there. I really hope that there is a little bit more meaning behind that. Whether she got it from her lineage and it was passed on through, her genes or whatever, or, something crazy like she had, her brainwashed somehow and she lost her memory of her past training. But I hope it's not just she happened to, boom, all of a sudden she's this experienced adept at the Force.
So here's an interesting theory that I had read a while ago. I'm not sure if I shared this one with you, but there was a theory that touched on some of the biblical references that are kind of sprinkled through Star Wars. Much like the one true sun rising and then falling and then rising again. But in this universe, obviously, he's not the Jesus archetype of I helped a bunch of people, now I'm dead because you killed me, now I'm helping you again. He comes back as evil. So the article focused on this possibility that what if Rey is not just this incredibly powerful Force user from this family, but what if she got all those flashbacks back to things? Because she heard Obi-Wan's voice in the flashbacks. Like, if you go listen to that clip, she hears Obi-Wan's voice. What if this is Anakin reincarnated?
I did read that one.
I mean, that would be intense. This is Anakin, all the things good from him coming into Rey, and she's going through the same Force struggles, but she has she's basically fighting her grandson who has turned into everything that she doesn't like, in the aspect of what if Rey is Anakin. So I found that particularly interesting in terms of power and stuff like that.
It is an interesting theory, but I feel like it's definitely just that, a theory. It's just as plausible as a lot of these other, a little bit outlandish theories. But I actually, to credit what you are saying, I actually did read something earlier about, and I don't know how factual it is and if it's even something that you can quote, but it was a comment on subreddit about George Lucas saying that Star Wars is actually about the rise and fall of Anakin Skywalker. So maybe it's just a continuation of, the mirroring of the whole process.
Yeah. I mean, as much as he was the big evil villain in the first 4, 5, and 6 in the original trilogy, it was very much a, I don't want to say reclamation, like a redemption story for Vader by the end of it, Right. He had all this evil in him and he's trying to corrupt his son, and then that little bit of good shines through at the very end and he makes the right choice. So far, it has very much been the entire 6 episodes thus far has been the rise and fall and rise again of Anakin Skywalker. So yeah, I agree. I would really love to see how they can tie, the continued rise of the light side of the Force and Anakin Skywalker bringing balance, so to speak, in the continued 3. It'd be really interesting, which kind of leads to another point. Emperor Snoke, or what is Grand Emperor Snoke? I can't remember who said Snoke. I'll call him
Supreme Lord Emperor of the universe. Yeah,
that dude, and his other group. Like, talking about Rey's power, it's not just Kylo Ren she has to face going forward. We only saw one Knight of Ren, and that was Kylo. We have not seen the other Knights of Ren we saw in the flashback.
True.
So where are those scary dudes that are also trained Jedi and now part of the Knights of Ren, which is all under Snoke? Then how is she going to face them? Who's going to fight those Jedi off? Is Luke going to grab some more people? Is it all on Rey's shoulders? So there's some scary stuff coming up in that aspect too.
Well, you are also assuming that Luke is still on the good side. There was a lot of rumor before we actually saw the movie that the reason we didn't see any Luke in any of the trailers or any of the poster in the media was because that he was dark side and they didn't want him, that to be spoiled. And obviously we only saw, 10, 20 seconds of Luke this time. So we can guess that he's, on the ally side because he let Rey live, but we don't know for sure exactly the situation yet.
I'm gonna call it now. We're gonna put it on the internet for all permanence to be seen here. But I'm gonna say Luke is still light side, but Luke is a very shattered man, and they're going to play on a broken master type thing where she's gonna be there with him, but he won't train her right away. He's gonna have a lot of reservation, but I still think he's eventually gonna come into his own and with being able to train her. But I feel like it's gonna mirror episode 5, and he's gonna leave partway through his training. And I think Luke is gonna feel that same kind of guilt and pressure and sadness of your Padawan leaving against your will that Yoda felt when Luke left.
Right. Is Luke going to serve as the new Yoda?
I definitely feel he's going to. I think there's eventually going to be a showdown which will either result in Luke's death or his shelving of a character where he is now like, I'm gonna help my sister lead this new republic. You know, he's gonna finish the rebellion or whatever, and he's gonna sit to the side. But I do think that at some point he's gonna be this new Yoda character. But I don't think he's just gonna die of old age. I think he's gonna either have a run-in with Kylo Ren or Snoke. That's gonna, you know, basically be the end of him as a contender, I would like to say.
Okay. Do you think this Snoke is the top of the top? Is he the highest evil?
I mean, so far, first we talked about, you know, the Phantom Menace being Jar Jar, and, you know, we talked about all that in the original trilogy, or the prequels. In the original trilogy, we thought Vader was the big bad dude, and then you meet the Emperor. So, I mean, Snoke is a strong dude. There's the silly rumor, which I don't know how much credit I want to lend to it, of Snoke actually being Vader, like reincarnated somehow because of the scar over the side of his face.
Oh, I haven't heard that one actually.
I've
heard the Plagueis, the general Plagueis theory, but I haven't heard this one.
Yeah, there's a picture I sent you that shows Anakin in Episode 3 lying on the edge of the lava river, and he's got the big. Oh,
I did see that one. I thought that was comical. I didn't even think that was like people really thinking that.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I've seen that, and I'm like, I think maybe, like, but it's on the fucking nose. It's just like, hey, look, it's Anakin in plain view.
Reaching with that one.
I think that one's fairly reachy. It could be. I don't know if Snoke has actually, you know, how much Snoke has had hands-on with Ren, how much he's done from like behind like a visor or something. It could be somebody using an image of Anakin. You know,
well, Ren does idolize Vader, to credit that.
Yeah. So I mean, Snoke could be using these slight similarities in his look, like he changes the way he looks or something, so Ren is drawn to him more. But no, like I really like seeing Snoke from the chair, hiding somewhere, saying, you know, come back and we need to complete your training. I think Snoke's the middleman. I think there might be somebody else.
I think there could be as well. I mean, really, there always could be, as in, you know, I mean, we do have the two spin-offs now. And then there's no... do we have a writing that there's only going to be 9 episodes to the base series?
This is supposed to be the end of it. This is going to wrap it up and have the 3 trilogies in this. This should be the final film stories, except for things like Rogue One. Right.
The Han Solo spin-off, and then the Boba Fett spin-off as well.
Yep. So I mean, we're gonna see some prequel-y type things and some spin-offs, but of the canon 9, this is supposed to be it. I mean, Disney owns the rights. Disney may in 10 years be like, hey, we're gonna do a new Star Wars story set 100 years after these events that doesn't include any of the characters. You know, they could go back to the books, and in the books there was a Emperor Palpatine resurrected.
Right, and that's something that we don't even touch on really in this, is the resurrection side of it.
Correct. So I mean, there's hints and clues scattered all over the place, and Palpatine comes out and says that he has the power to give life back to somebody. Mm-hmm. So there's the very real possibility that, you know, I think it'd be interesting if Palpatine showed back up, Palpatine resurrected. I don't know if they'll go that direction, or if Disney wants to hold that card to be like, let's do this movie and, 10 years we'll boot another trilogy where Palpatine's back.
Yeah, they could. And with all the monetizing they did with advertising the game, or the movie, I wouldn't be surprised at all, really.
It's Disney. They can do what they want. They pretty much own it.
Yeah.
So let's take a step away from our favorite Force family and Rey. Well, real quick, we'll do 10 seconds here. Prediction: who's Rey related to? Han Solo and Leia, Luke Skywalker, in terms of like direct blood. Who is she the daughter of? Han Solo and Leia, Luke Skywalker, or a third party?
I'm going to say a third party.
Third party?
Yep.
I've really stated for a little bit here that I think it's going to be Han and Leia. There's been some consideration, though, that Han and Leia and Luke all looked at her like they knew her, and they, none of them really connected on that daughter level. It was very awkward, some of the stuff between Leia and Rey. So I'm gonna jump the fence here and put my vote in third party. That it's a third party that knows them, but she was kind of placed in the protection of Han, Luke, and Leia. So I'm in the same field as you, third party now.
Excellent.
So yeah, let's step away from our favorite Force family and move to some of the other characters in the movie. Between Poe and Finn and anybody else in there, who do you think is your favorite character aside from the original, 4 people, Chewie, Han, Leia, Luke, and Rey? Those people aside, who was your favorite new person?
I really liked Poe Dameron. Is it Dameron? Is it Poe the pilot? He was awesome, but I feel like he was almost just too likable. I feel like everybody likes him, and honestly, I think the role that surprised me, surprised myself that I liked, was Kylo Ren. I actually liked his acting. I liked his acting. I liked at the end of it, he had his helmet off. That was awesome because in the Vader scenes, he had his helmet on the entire time, except for the one quick shot. So it was nice to have a villain that, you can actually see, and he was sweating, and he was, that is, I guess, the Force user as well, but I really enjoyed his character. But yeah, I really liked Poe, and Finn, I don't know. I'm still on the fence with Finn. He's all right.
I think he's a very driving factor in the storytelling here, because you needed that fall from power type thing, that redemption type story, especially for him. And it kind of gave them, the plot hooks to get in and say, okay, let's release Poe from the Empire. Let's release BB-8. Let's help BB-8 get where he needs to go, with the help of Poe and Rey and Poe and Rey and Finn. So I like him as a driving factor. I like his naivety as well.
Well, he's supposed to be the new Han, right?
Yeah. See, I don't really want to put them into roles of the
right.
New
Yeah,
X.
You can't paste it into it, but that's what I look at it. He's even got like a similar kind of jacket, using Poe's jacket. The thing is, like, he's no Han. He's no Han, so...
See, I felt of that group, Poe was more Han than Finn was, for sure.
True. As far as, like, a character and personality, absolutely.
So the way I kind of looked at the characters was I saw Finn as a mixture of Luke pre-Jedi. So
Pre-Force, okay.
As
he's
he's
naive, okay.
Things, and... Leia in terms of like strength of spirit and wanting to push forward. So I see him as kind of a mixture of those two, and I see Rey definitely as the young Leia. I want to say, who's trying to strike out on her own, because this kind of goes back a little bit to her youth in the books. She was a senator's daughter and was very rebellious. So she had that kind of rebellious streak in her. When she was, just trying to do her own thing, was like basically get out of my way, let me do my own thing. And then after she woke up to the Force, just that raw tapped power and not knowing really what to do with it is how I saw Rey. So I see Poe is definitely the Han archetype, but I see Rey and Finn kind of an amalgamation of different characters. But that's what I like, is that it's not you are copying and pasting these roles. You feel unique in them each. But I feel like if I had seen more Poe, I would have been happier.
That's exactly why I question him being the new Han, because he didn't seem to have as much of a role as Han did in Episode 4.
Yeah, I see him having more coming up.
I hope so. He was an awesome character.
He was very cool. I gotta say though, of like the secondary characters and the offshoots, one of my favorite characters in the film, and it's gonna sound so weird for saying it, was General Hux.
General Hux.
Yeah, the leader of the First Order. A big kind of moment for me was realizing that this First Order is no longer the empire that's going to stand up and bring order to the galaxy, but the Nazi-style empire that is going to stomp you into order. And he stands up and he gives that big Hitler-esque speech to his troops gathered out.
It was, wasn't it?
It was such like, it was just channeling this fascist hatred, which made you just like angry at the First Order. And it was fantastic. And he pulled it off brilliantly. A smug commander that's above the Jedi, that feels, their ways are old, but he's not getting choked out because, Vader's not the creme de la creme of people. Kylo Ren's there, and Kylo Ren's just kind of he works for Snoke, and he has to respect him, but, he's going to be a bitch to him as much as he can. And then he's got this badass Star Killer base, and he lives at the end of it, which was really important for me, because he gets Ren and he takes him back to Snoke. So Snoke knows that Hux is this powerhouse of a leader, and he's charismatic, and he's, he entices people and he gets them doing what he wants, and he like just charges up his troops. And it makes you realize that these stormtroopers, are no longer just program things, but it requires this type of fascist leadership. And that guy really drove that character home for me and made me just want to hate the First Order all that much more.
Well put. I would agree. He played really well, and definitely, like, especially that scene where exactly I was saying, I could practically feel the vibes from the Hitler-esque speech. It was absolutely intense. Like, knowing, I mean, this camera zoomed out and you saw all the troops just standing there. It was just a really cool scene. The
fighters parked and the shuttles all parked there. And it's just that show of force, and then sling that big red beam dick across the galaxy and nuke the fucking Republic.
Oh yeah, it doesn't even destroy one planet. It splits up and destroys 5 at once.
It's insane. It's a Hitler wet dream if he was still here to see it, but it definitely it drove you to hate the First Order, which was perfect. Which sets it up to be perfect too, because then you got to think how much of the First Order is still around. Was it all the people on that, and now we're just going to see small skirmishes? Or did the First Order still have troops in reserve back with Snoke, and they're still going to be fighting these big battles, and that was just kind of like the battle station?
I imagine they'll probably take it to an even larger scale and zoom back a little bit further and show us all what else they have.
I mean, they've talked about like that Snoke. Well, this is so book spoiler. If you haven't read the book, this is a slight book spoiler, so you might want to mute up for a little bit here. But in the book, it talks about how Snoke and the First Order Jedi, so the Knights of Ren, if you know about Sith lightsabers, all of the crystals were synthetic. Previous to, like, pre-original trilogy, they were synthetic. But Snoke found a place to mine these crystals, which is what the original Jedi Temple were created around, were the Jedi crystals, because the Jedi would go in, he would train, and he would harvest his own crystal and build his own lightsaber. So the Sith has always been once you fall, you have to build your own crystal, and you channel your hatred, and so you have the synthetic thing. But Snoke found a place to mine red Sith crystals. So it just kind of opens up and makes you realize that there's a lot more of the universe out there they can touch now. Because where is Snoke getting all these evil crystals from? Where's he got his troops stored to harvest these to feed the Knights of Ren? Is he training more Sith? Is this going to be, a la Sith invasion 1,000 years on Coruscant, previous to the trilogy, where hundreds and thousands of Sith are jumping off of carriers and having these massive battles with the Jedi? Is the balance coming back? So we'll go back to the Rey reincarnation. Is the balance coming back of Anakin balancing the Force, being reincarnated in Rey, joining the light side of the Force, and standing up with only a few light-sided Jedi and destroying this massive Sith army that Snoke's been building in secret?
Oh, that sounds badass.
So yeah, it sounds really cool. And you just like thinking about the fact that the Republic is scattered. The planets are destroyed. Snoke has gone back into hiding with Kylo Ren and the Knights of Ren, and they're back conceivably where they're harvesting these crystals. So both sides kind of have a little time to bide, and they can hide on different planets. And you saw that huge map where Luke went through, so you know it's got to be.
Right.
We're going to play into new places. So there's some opportunity to get really zoomed back and start including a lot more in the conflict.
Do we know right now the gap that we'll be seeing between episode 7 and 8?
Time-wise, I don't know specifically. I would assume, like the other films, a year has passed between each one, because usually it's like a year to 3 years in between each one.
Okay.
I have to check the official time. I don't have it memorized, but yeah, it's a shorter time frame between each film, and then a large time frame between the trilogies.
Okay. So we won't be seeing, an entire formation of Jedis coming to fruition, unless it is, as you said, a Sith army was being created behind the scenes.
That could have easily been going on the last 30, 40 years. So,
Interesting.
This is so far after episode 6, that there's the very real possibility that 20 years has been Snoke in hiding, gathering all this up. So, some pretty interesting stuff there. So I'm getting a little nerd ragey for a second. There's been some bullshit online too that we've seen. It is just fucking infuriating. It just goes back to my feelings of this is why I love this show being just fucking open, is that if you're an online social justice warrior, fucking keyboard journalist that just thinks you can shit your fucking opinions from the mountaintops, and your name is Seth Abrams or Abramson from the Huffington Post, and you write some bullshit clickbait piece, 40 unforgivable plot holes in Star Wars: The Force Awakens, and you pull some bullshit out of your ass like the reason Ren was slowly bleeding to death instead of being dead by Rey's hand was that massive chasm had miraculously opened several feet in front of the two of them. Such bad timing for Rey, right? Yeah. How about you realize that, that fucking thing opened because the planet was being destroyed? And people, they were dodging these fucking chasms as they were fighting, and one just happened to open in front of them. So yes, I could sit here for hours and go on about this Huffington Post article, but pull your fucking head out of your ass. Watch the film. This guy, if you've seen this circulated anywhere on social media, it is just the biggest pile of clickbait bullshit in the world. It's insane. Some of these things, here's a really good one. One of his points he brings up: why does General Hux need to gather all of his troops just to tell them he's about to press a button to destroy the Republic? Okay. Thoughts, Maker, before I yell about this?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not convinced that. Exactly as you were saying, the social justice warriors, they shit out bullshit. And I imagine the guy taking in a notepad and a pen, into the movie and just writing this down, okay, I can poke this, I'll poke a hole in this right here.
It's that fucking, the cultural feeling of internet hate spewing. It's let's not even form an actual opinion and think about the film, why we're watching it. Why did General Hux do that? Let me think on that. Probably because he's a fascist Nazi son of a bitch kind of dude running the First Order, and he's look at our giant dick we built into this planet that's going to shoot death all over the fucking galaxy that we've worked forever on this, and this is the first time we're going to push it, so let me show you the true power of the First Order and why you better stick with us, because these people are, obviously they just had somebody go rogue, so he's just amping up that fascist First Order fuck everything-y. And this dude's just why did he stand up and have a big speech? Okay, idiot, watch the film, draw some fucking conclusions that are not just hate spewing because you feel like it's a plot hole. Nothing bad happened. Nobody else had plot armor on that was just the giant ray's coming at me, but because you were having that speech, I managed to kill everybody. That didn't fucking happen. It's not a plot hole. It's a dude giving a speech. Let's go back and look at World War II. Why did Hitler gather all of his troops? I wonder why. We give speeches to rally people. Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, and looking at a few of the other ones there, just it's exactly as you put it. It's clickbait. Literally the title itself. He was probably reaching. He probably only had 20 of them, and he's I can squeeze a little bit more out of this.
Like,
get
I can't
40.
even find one that makes sense. Like, how pissy is it of Luke to abandon the Resistance and leave an obnoxiously coy trail of breadcrumbs to help people find him? He didn't leave a trail of breadcrumbs for people to find him. He was putting together a map to find the first Jedi Temple, which requires him to piece together bits of information, because the Death Star was also like a floating repository of all the galactic information. Like, they had all the knowledge. Vader collected a lot of that data himself. You know, things like from the old Jedi temples, he maintained that information because they know knowledge is power. And so he went to find that, and he had to piece bits together from scraps and rumors, and he basically built himself a fucking map. But how pissy is it of Luke to leave the Resistance?
Did he literally say pissy?
Yeah. How pissy is it of Luke to abandon the Resistance? Really? How about he just fucking raised his nephew into the goddamn destroyer, and he watched his nephew and this fucking group of Knights of Ren kill every other Jedi he was training. They slaughtered everybody in front of him. And Luke didn't destroy him because he was absolutely crushed. But no, Luke's a bitch because, you know, he epically failed. Like, seriously. Just there's a great article up from Matty Granger, I believe. I'm going to link that. It's his review. He goes into this same kind of ranting I'm doing, where he tears this fucking article apart. And it makes the great point of, if you are a young person, or if you are a Facebook user, in your middle age even, don't use Facebook for your shit spewing. Think about what you're fucking saying and form your own goddamn opinion.
Especially on the internet.
Oh my god. It's just, seriously, it's a shit-spewing soapbox. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, how entitled do these journalists feel about themselves? They must think so boldly and highly of themselves to be able to formulate such opinions on the matter. It's just ridiculous.
I'm gonna stick it to JJ. He's really gonna feel it this time.
Well, speaking of JJ, I wanted to talk actually about how Disney decided to go with 3 different directors for these films. How do you feel about that?
So I think JJ as the first choice is phenomenal.
Agreed.
Established director, and producer, and he knows how to just take a story and just fucking own it. Not to destroy what it was or to go in some weird offbeat direction, but just to take the original, own it, and make it his own, and make it something epic. Now, I will give him some flack for Star Wars or Star Trek, because, you know, goddamn lens flares.
We had a little bit of that, but not too much.
Wasn't Battlefield. You could have eased up off of it, okay? I knew what I was watching. But I mean, yeah, he really can just take a story and just make it his, and make it something that is not just pandering fan service, but is something that says, you know, here's the original. I'm going to honor that incredibly hard, but I'm also going to make you just desire more and be gripping the edge of your seat for more. Like, that whole time, I was like tense almost the entire film. So yes, JJ as a first pick was fantastic. I'm not sure about Disney changing directions. I'm worried either A, they wanted to see different styles. B, you know, they thought JJ might be too overplayed by the end of it. Like, he might be JJ'd out by the end of the 3 movies. But you know, what I'm thinking is that we're going to have some tone changes in the next films, is what we're going to see. Like, I could see episode 8 being very much a more toned back from the high action, because now the Republic's destroyed, the First Order's planet killer is destroyed. So I could see it being a step back, and maybe they said, you know, JJ's great for establishing this. Let's get people in the door with a name like JJ, and then let's, you know, hand it to somebody else who's going to approach it differently. I know there's been you sent me a link for it if you want to talk about it, because I'm completely against it and think it's ridiculous. But yeah, I can agree with 3 different directors. I can't agree with the petition for the new 3rd director we're talking about. Oh gosh.
That wasn't really something I really even wanted to point out as a worthy note. It was just like, can you believe people want this? But we may as well bring it up since you brought it up. Yeah, exactly. People online were making a petition to try and get Sir Lucas himself to direct episode 9, the final of the series. It's just a little ridiculous. I mean, he's not a part of the project anymore. I mean, he can give his thoughts on it. I can totally respect that, but he's gone, man.
Yeah, I can definitely agree. We're done with Lucas on that. But what do you think about the 3 different directors deal?
Well, since they decided to do all that before even the first of this series or of this trilogy has been made, if it had been decided afterwards, I would have taken it as a personal shot to JJ. But because this was announced a while back, I feel safe in saying that it's them exactly as you're saying, trying to put a fresh new spin on things. I actually took a look at these 2 new directors, Rian Johnson and Colin Trevorrow, and I've only seen one movie from either of them. So I don't know how they're going to be taking it, but I think it's an awesome idea for just revitalizing the series in general. I mean, obviously bringing it back is a really big thing, but not only that, they're putting a fresh spin on it. I think it could turn out well.
I think Colin Trevorrow did a fine job with both Safety Not Guaranteed and Jurassic World.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen Jurassic World yet. I saw Safety Not Guaranteed, which was an alright film. But I don't know. I've never really been a big Jurassic Park fan at all, so I haven't prioritized watching the new one. Although I've heard it's really good.
Yeah, I wasn't like huge into it, but I mean, I look back as well. I'm incredibly excited for Rian Johnson because Looper was just a phenomenal film in my opinion.
I've heard mixed reviews on that film. I haven't seen that one either.
Not seen it?
Mm-mm.
Dear God, man.
Oh dear. Am I missing something?
You are missing out. I loved it. I mean, some people might not have liked it because they're just like time travel in my brain. It plays it very well, and there's some incredibly cool telekinetic stuff in there that's just like, it's epic. I don't want to spoil it because it's one of those ones like I go back and watch it because I liked it so much. But some people who do watch it are very much, a one and done kind of deal with it. It is very much worth it though. Go check it out.
Okay.
Get yourself a feel for Rian Johnson.
Yeah, I'll definitely do a little research. Yeah.
Saying, Ben, thank you for opening my eyes to see such a great film as Looper.
Yeah, I'll have to check that one out because I would like to get an idea for how these directors are approaching their films. Because JJ definitely, he has a distinct style, and I feel like it really was apparent in episode 7.
Yeah, I mean, you could feel it. And I feel like these 2 are going to bring different styles and different feelings to their film, which is probably what Disney's going for. Saying, let's not, put all our money on one horse here. Let's get 3 directors, change tones a little bit and feel a little bit between the 3 films. And, hopefully each of one is just as fresh as the last. And we have a great set of films from 3 different directors that really kind of, caps off the story for us. Something we've been, waiting on since we were born, basically.
Right.
To finish up this whole thing.
We'll cross our fingers.
Yeah. Well, speaking of finishing up, though, we're coming up a little long here. Pushing. Yeah. This is our longest episode yet. Couple
Too much fun, man.
Things. Yeah, I know. So much stuff to talk about Star Wars. We could probably go on for another hour. But yeah, last little blurbs. You sent me a fun little thing that Hasbro did. If you want to bring it up real quick.
Oh, well, Hasbro, they put out Star Wars Monopoly, and they had a bunch of different characters, obviously Finn, Han, and then they had Darth Vader even, who's not even in the film, but they didn't have Rey, literally the main character of the film. And then not only that, but apparently a few other of their Star Wars games and toys were coming out with the disinclusion of Rey, the main character. But so I guess they've done a recall, and they're going to be doing, a reproduction, including the main character now. But I thought it was pretty interesting that, they could get away with something like that.
Oh yeah, especially with the, JJ going, here's an incredibly strong female lead. That wasn't even technically like a high billing on it. She was, but she ended up being this character that everybody latched onto and just absolutely loves. I haven't met anybody who's like, fuck Rey.
True. Yeah, she's a lovable character.
That are like, oh, I want to fuck Rey, but that's a different story. There's a good interview. I forget the name of the show. It's a British show, but it had Carrie Fisher talking on the show, and she's like, I had a guy came up to me who said, you know, I thought about you every day from the time I was 12 to the time I was 22. And she was like, oh, that's sweet. You know, what, or how often do you think of me, or something like that? And he's like, oh, you know, 2 or 3 times a day. And the girl that plays Rey, I feel terrible forgetting her name, but she
Daisy,
had this
Daisy Ridley,
yeah,
I think.
Daisy Ridley, yep. She had just this look of horror on her face, and Carrie Fisher turns to her and she's like, you got that to look forward to. And she just look like, oh, no.
That is awesome.
Yeah, she's an attractive girl. She did a fantastic job as the lead. I loved her for it, and yeah, she can have a whole generation of boys fawning over her now, fantasizing about Rey and her super awesome force powers. Yeah, good job, Hasbro, for dropping the ball on the strong female lead. I'm sure the feminists are all over it.
All over, I'm sure. Oh gosh, yeah.
Like I have, like I'm saying, Tim and I have nothing wrong or nothing against, you know, people standing up for other people's rights, but there's a line you cross when you go from standing up for someone and becoming just a fuckhead social justice warrior and just pissing everybody off.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why we rag on them so much. Any final thoughts on the film you want to share?
I'm just excited for the next one. And I hope, I mean, the same as this one. I hope they don't fuck up. You know, they did good with episode 7, so just keep it up.
Exactly. Just remember, if you can, get out there and pick up the book. It's available now. So there's some fantastic additional information. You get, you know, a lot of the insights into the mind of Kylo Ren, and you get to see what he was, you know, because you can't translate it to film that easily. You get to see now more what he was thinking and how he was feeling, and you get that touch on how much the dark side is really more of an opportunistic side, and instead of, you know, being like, we got cookies, come join the dark side, it waits until you're at your absolute lowest and most unsure, and then just whispers and pushes you. Because I think it touches on another small spoiler. Actually, no, I'm gonna step back. I'm not gonna spoil the book anymore, because there's some good stuff about Rey in there and how she interacts with the Force towards the end of it that you really want to pick up the book and read, or go read a synopsis online. But I'm not gonna spoil it for you. So please, if you get the chance, go check that out. Other than that, I think that's it from us. We're looking forward to next week. Probably going to do since we didn't get to it this week, our top video games of 2015. So if you have some thoughts on your favorite games of 2015, please leave it in the comments below. Maker and I are going to be kind of making our list and seeing what other people have to say. We'll probably do a viewer choice if we get enough people to comment. Yeah, that's it from us. Thanks for watching Killscreen. I'm Ben.
And I'm Nick. I'm Tim. Thanks, guys.
That's it. We'll catch you next week. Thanks, guys.